up some intensity, bro. I was trying to build a story. I had everything ready to go.
Man, you know who we're dealing with? These guys are done taking normal fights. They're now just pinpointing exactly who's weak on the map. Where's the fight actually happening? Is this the first time we're watching them in Holly as well, bro? This is disgusting.
I mean, yesterday they had a battle of Holly Hedges, right? They showed up and they fought Benji, Matzo, Amplify. Nico came in from the backside and took out Vidil's trio. So that's what happened here. But like I said, they've been scary throughout the entire time and the reputation precedes them. And now they're going to single out legends here. And I've been in this situation before in a high stakes tournament. When someone sees you by yourself, you are gone. You are going to be eliminated and sent to the lobby with the first class ticket. And hey, it's not fun when you're that person right away. I could trust me. I know.
It's tough, man. I also think, like, for all these guys' keyboards in general, maybe it was like in between day 1 and day 2. I heard this legend that they all dropped their keyboards by accident off their desks. And then, you know, all those keys scattered. The only ones left were the ones in Vidil's house. They were all just W's, all W keys. That they replaced all their keys, no QWERTY. It's just W, 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 W. That's not even just, you know, in the way they play. It's the way they're taking names, the way they're now just in first place overall with a sizable lead going on the last 2 games. I mean, it's nuts.
It's literally W, whatever bind they have to edit, and then the left click. That's it.
That's all they need.
That's all they need. Look first at this map here. It's a central zone, so this is going to be a huge opportunity for Savage's trio to make some moves up the leaderboard. I know we've been saying that name for we've been waiting for him to make a move up. It just hasn't been there. I really believe their storm surge strategy has been really affected by Michael's trio that's sitting in the center, by Cisse's trio, by being at risky reels. A lot of other trios that are tough to take out have been affecting Savage's trio. It looks like Thomas HC, he's getting Brucey involved, and we all know that, hey, the RPG could drop out of this shark.
Not sure if it's part of their game plan, though, you know.
Oh, it is.
If you have Thomas HD hitting snipes on someone in high ground, do you need rockets? They're slower. Thomas is about moving fast, man. He's getting old.
They needed it. They need it. I know age is creeping up. True. In-game age, by the way.
In-game age, yeah.
I know it's creeping up, but they really needed that. I mean, because that snipe put them like 400 when in those moving zone. Granted, a lot of people were kind of dropping like flies, but still. Let's go back. Let's kind of scale back. You talk about Benji breaking your heart. You know, has those opportunities. A lot, you know, hundreds of thousands of people watching him stream, cheering him on while they watch him get that game 2 victory. A fan favorite. But what's it going to take for Benji, Amplify, and Matzo to move up their leaderboard? They were holding on that 3rd spot. Now they slipped down to 5th place.
They need a zone. They just need to have like a triple zone situation. You know what I mean? Like, just get 3 zones right on them, and they can easily control a game to get all the way towards the very top. They've only ever gone down on rotation. It's always on rotation, very close as well. Like walking across the street, but then there's a big bus that just comes right by. And it's literally a game of meters for these guys every single time. It's just so tragic to watch.
Every rotation, you think max pool, short pool, dead center. When it comes to this high stakes tournament, when it comes to these set lobbies, it's not going to be easy. And now look at the power that Vidil, Reason, and Noah Riley have. Look, they push fights. They don't care. If they can have a pistol, they'll push a fight. That's where they're at right now. But now you're giving them those power weapons, and now they're going to go all in. Vidil must be dripping in that gold because he's literally upgraded all the way to purple tech, now a blue lever shotgun. So now look at that. Luxury, whip lashes. Energy efficiency car, no doubt. I think that they have as well. They have all those things. No, scratch that. These cars run on gas, but the energy is high for Vidil's trio. They're on high octane rotations and movement. But here is what I'm talking about. Benji's trio, they did this last game. This is their plan for tags, and Kinzel's trio showed up here and slowed them down on their next rotation.
Right now, basically, we're living in the house of the top 5, and what everyone's trying to do is close and lock the doors for their position. The people with the door that is almost basically fully closed is Vidil, Noah Riley, and Reason. We've seen them a couple of times. There they are, 247 points coming into this game. Already have 2 elims. Now they're bumped up all the way past the 250 threshold.
Let me tell you what's at stake here. First place, $300,000. Second place, $210,000. Third place, $135,000. Fourth, $120,000. Fifth place, $105,000. And if you drop out of that fifth place, that's $15,000 that you lose. Other than that, down below, 6 to 7, another $15,000. So every placement going down from 5th to 10th, you are losing $15,000. That's $5,000 a piece.
So every team all across the board is still fighting for more. But I still want to keep talking about doors, man. Like, when it comes to that first place team, right? They're so close to closing it. If Adil, Reason, and Noah Riley right now end up winning this game, get like 30, 40, or 50 points, I think that's just locked in.
Okay.
That's a full nice finish, because like there's no one's going to be able to fully catch up to them game after game. They'll have to have another phenomenal performance. And we see these guys alive in every single game. They're here. That door.
Last season, we were talking about Andalex's trio run. They had that opportunity. The door was open from them for so many games because Mongrel Meat Rotation could not close it like you're looking for Vidil's trio. They just could not close it, and it was just a mere matter of points that Mongrel Meat Rotation were able to win. So this door here is wide open, considering that it's this close with 2 games, and these teams are looking healthy, Shio. There's no one really pushing them. There's no one really trying to stop them from doing what they're doing. So that's what you mean, man. Literally so many trios have that opportunity to pop off here. We all know they have it. We all have seen it. We've seen the qualifiers, the heats. And now they have to do it when it matters the most with only 2 games left.
You know what the weakness to most doors are, though? The door-to-door salesman. They'll come knocking. They'll put their foot in the door. And Snazy and Alex Next Squeeze, they definitely have things to sell. Other people's performances. They want to make sure that no one has a chance to go through. They've taken out trio after trio, moving up the rankings. Even took out Vidil, Noah Riley, and Reason in the last zone of that final game to have a seat at the top 3, to have more than even a foot in the door. So they have a chance to keep things completely open. They need to survive this game. Already have 1 Elam. It looks good for Snazy. 10 peppers as well. That is key in having some of the fastest speed you can at pushing rotations, at pushing height. It makes the difference, and it's so hard to find on the map. Caddy corner is such a big spot to land there because of that, right? They'll have even more power coming in this end game. Just keep those doors open.
Now we see the zone 2's revealed. This is going to be huge for Janice's trio alongside with Hayden Chapix. This zone, last time we saw they had the zone in the day, they were able to walk away with the victory royale. They are basically a mirror situation here. They go right to that same tree mountain. That's going to be a prime real estate for everyone to push in. But I think Hayden Chapix and Janice here, they're basically going to sit there and hold on to it a lot stronger this time around. And you're seeing the prime real estate as well of Colossal Coliseum coming into play. We always talked about people being on the 4 corners right here as Snazzy takes some hits here, making this rotation. Ooh, another
more
one.
Than a hit.
Ooh, that's a big one right there.
And then a kick. He's almost knocked out, but he's got this corner by his side. He'll have the minis and the chucks to use overall. It's going to be all good for now. More trios, though, rolling from the backside while he has to heal and farm up. That could be a position for them to come in and throw down.
And at least this time around, Storm Surge not a factor here for Andalex's trio. They're currently 491 above, looking really good. That's why they were making this kind of dead side rotation. But again, another person had the same idea, and that's Thomas and Austin Flick. So we have the top of the board here. Oh my goodness. We're talking about more than $15,000 at stake here on this rotation.
It's kind of a walk down memory lane as well. You know, last season, when you were talking about Mongrel Meat Rotation, right, in general, I'm going to talk about how it looked like after 10 games. Alex, Thomas HD, and Benji, and of course, Benji was on a different team that time too. These guys were in the same position,
Savage,
inside the top 5, right? Like,
yes,
this is very reminiscent of what we saw before. But remember, before we had power POIs, that doesn't exist as much anymore. It's more about the flavor of power you just want inside your team. For Thomas and Austin Flick, it's about rotations, snipes, storm surge damage. For Snazy, Alex, and Squeeze, it's about those peppers, that fast end game you can play, and really pushing every possible pocket of a box, of some space, having it for yourself. They have such a big base right now, big position on the right side, and even better rotation to make. We could talk about Benji as well a little bit, right? For him, it's about making these end games. No matter where it is, as long as that trio's alive, they perform so well. The issue is they haven't survived so far to get to that point. And, you know, the biggest new flavor in town now, I'm not sure what type of special name you need to give to them. It might just be, you know, the full aggro. Maybe that's the flavor's name. Reason, Noah Riley, and Vidil. They come in not caring about what your preference is, what you want to eat. They will just shut you down, box after box, push after push. They're just walking in the open right now.
And Noah
awesome
Riley,
rotation, but uninterrupted.
That's right. I mean, we saw this last time with, I believe it was Hen's trio, or they were kind of just free walking away. Actually, it was Thomas HG's trio. We saw them in one of the finals in the heats, actually, when they were really popping off. They were literally walking out in the open. There would be a team fully boxed up, watching them rotate and not engaging in them. That's how scary they were. Thomas HG in that heat where they popped off with 2016 limbs. That same kind of respect is being played with Vidil's trio. No one wants to engage with them because they know as soon as they hit them, they're going to be keyed. But I really think Vidil's trio is finding a way to slow down just a little bit. They had looked into a third-party situation against that Ingram battle. They decided, no, let's go ahead and play for some placement here. If they could slow down just a little bit, kind of play it in-game, that means it's going to solidify to what you said, closing the door on other teams trying to catch up to them.
Now everything's kind of setting in the sand. First time I'm watching these top trios not boxed up on top of each other, separate bases. Especially as a part of, you know, being in the Coliseum, you would assume some of these teams would have a spot all the way near that side, but not going to be there this time. A desert zone too, you have to remember, map management is the key when you see sand. 100%. And we know some of these teams have the best of it in different styles, you know, for a reason. It's not about managing mass. It's just get another Elam, you know, another 1,500 mass for you. There you go. For Thomas, clicking an Os might be a little bit different, right? Controlling one side of the zone, looking back for beams, and then harpooning things.
I got scared.
I got scared too.
I'm like, dude.
My man's taking pistol shots and not moving. Vidil, you're crazy.
He's going in. He's making sure the small bullets. Big tag right there. Whites. Now they have an opportunity here. They could kind of sneak in another shot and sneak in some valuable tags as well. I think the sniper shot was his teammate hitting him in the shoulder. But look at the zone. It's a huge pull right here, but they do have some leeway to work with. That river is not going towards the direction they need to rotate to, but there's still a very dangerous rotation. But looks like Mr. J's trio, who have been having a very consistent day in day one, not finding the same footing here in day two.
It's always different on either day. The stakes are higher too. In day one, we saw every single game was still stacked. You know, 30 trios alive for a majority of the portion. But when that storm surge hit, you know, we stayed at 70 all the way till half and half. Now that the competition's ending, people are getting desperate. They're going for their plan E's, their plan F's instead of B's and C's. They're sticking to outside their guns, outside their box, and really pushing for things to keep them in the competition.
A little fatigue is definitely setting in, and I was listening to the NA West. I was watching some, you know, watch parties. Shout out to all the watch parties out there. I was watching them, and I was hearing comms that sometimes they're like, yo, I never landed here before. I never rotated here before. I have no clue what I'm doing. That's what ends up happening here when you've exhausted every kind of plan or any kind of scrim idea, practice scrim that you've done before, and now you're just up against it, back against the wall. Some people's walls are completely gone.
Anas, Thomas, and Flick want to rebuild those walls 100%. Fourth place coming in to this next game right now. Vidil, Norai, and Reason trying to make sure they stay in the lead. Hangenis and Chapix, they want to be here too. Right now, our top 10 teams are all alive for this game. And for Thomas, Anas, and Flick, they're way ahead of Surge. The thing that's held them back so far, they've cut the tape off and now are inside the crime scene wanting to do more.
And keep an eye on 6 through 10. We're talking about Verox's trio, Miro's trio, Slender's trio, and Cammy's trio, and DKS's trio. $15,000 if they fall. I know there's still one more game left, but it's going to be huge if one of them does go down. And Vidil actually gets knocked by Verox.
Wow, so that is literally fifth, trying to climb all the way back in, trying to get higher up in the rankings. Might just be a snipe, though, because you know how far these guys are. No, it's a box fight, right, side by side. But I don't see Verox anywhere, so might have been an overpeak. I have a deal.
I'm telling you, their game plan of taking box fights, sometimes it could backfire. Right now, I mean, we've seen so many aggressive players throughout the world. Sometimes their aggression, their instinct gets them in trouble. Sometimes they overpeak. Sometimes they put an edit that they're not supposed to do, and they get hit in the face really hard and knocks them down. So that's what happened to Vidil, one of the best box fighters in the world, one of the most aggressive fighters in the world. And now it's going to be up to Noah Riley and Reason, who are looking for redemption from last season. They have an opportunity here to kind of close that big door. Let's keep that metaphor going. This door just got a little bit heavier, and there's a lot of things in that way. That door-to-door salesman foot just got bigger.
Absolutely. And right now, forget about salesmen. I'm looking at just pioneers, captains of the scene right now with Guild and Gamma, the trio, Anas, Thomas HD, Flick, high ground position. Talked about it. You give these guys one game. What was the number, Sancho? 26 elims the other day?
26 elims and a second place finish.
That was
Yikes.
huge. They're trying to replicate that. We'll see if it's possible. 663 damage above as well. They have Benji, Matzo, and Amplify to fight on the other side of high ground as well.
This is going to be an all or nothing rotation here. Huge rotation here. Fifth zone showing up. Strong opportunity here. 5 elims so far. And take a look here. Sitting perched up top is Matzo's trio on the other side.
Looking at everything all around, more people down all the way towards the bottom. Looks like Benji has the better base all the way towards the top side. Snazy's there all the way on low, right behind Ref's guard, and at the same time, Hen is below Benji. So if anyone slips for even a second at this moment, it could spell disaster. Teak, Seti, and Cammy are also on the sight lines of Snazy. They're alive in this game. They were put on ice, Sancho, for this entire tournament run so far. Right now, they could defrost, come back, and have a say in the top 5.
And that's what it comes down to. It's going to come down to performance as much as possible here on these rotations. Everyone has to stick together. And Alexis Trio had a great game in the previous one, being together, sticking to the fundamentals of FNCS Trio play.
We're looking at Reason's POV. He's the last person alive, also way back in the zone. It's the 6-1 rotating. He's trying to get something done, but it's absolutely not possible. Unfortunate. Still actually just staying alive towards the very side, but man, as a solo player, this is going to be very, very tough.
Very tough, but Reason can do this here. Every placement point matters now that we're in the 17th. Now they're getting dished out.
Absolutely, and I'm so looking forward to see exactly what we can see from Reason over here, but it's very tricky in terms of him being able to survive. We'll hop around a few POVs and see exactly what's possible in this scenario. Still looking at a majority of these teams. It's getting crazy. Reason actually elevated a few layers. The zone is starting to move. 41 different players alive. Top 17, so placements here. Reason can still find a way for his team to stay here if he survives in the #1 spot. He's getting bullied from down below. Don't slip now, my man. You got to stay alive. You got to stay up. Right above Savage and I drop 2. He's looking for a way forward. 50 damage above Surge. He's keeping the throne for himself and his team.
Now he's going into a other instinct mode of just fight and survive as much as possible. Close to out of mats. Now he's down to only just a soft mat. So he's going to be a big target here. He's going to have to switch layers. He's going to have to move. He's going to have to bounce to survive as much as possible. He is still getting placement as the other trios are going down. Thomas HC, Amplify getting some big knocks in the feet. But Reason, the wood build from behind was just not as strong enough to handle the beams.
Just 5 placement points for him to roll with in this game. Would that be the difference to keep them in first? Hen, Chapix, and Janice have an opportunity to push forward and claim that prize.
Snazy and Elexinix Squeeze are still in this fight in 3rd place now. We're going to have to keep an eye on where Vidil, no rival. Reasons now has been frozen in time. That is going to be something where he's locked in. Hen's trio is still on their feet here, and solo is Thomas HD. The Benji's right there getting triple beamed here.
RPT!
RBG comes in and stops the triple beam. They got to go back to the defensive stance. And look at height. It is Thomas HC and Nos and Flick going against Pizza's trio.
It's trying to just hold it all the way up top. Thomas has run out of shields. He's popping a few more. This is a big pot. All the way down below, he's still looking for some chances to shoot down. Flick gets forced down slightly.
It's Matzo and Benji Fishy. Whoa, my goodness.
Snazy went down completely. Those guys get frozen in time. 3rd place not to get any more points in this game. Ardent is also getting bullied. Flick has found an opening, and he finds a few shots. He lands them.
This is going to be big for Flick, Thomas, and Anas right now. 10 elims and control of the high ground. Hen is down below with Janice here with Chapix, and they have a big fight with Tayson and Savage. That's going to be a big layer-to-layer fight engagement here. Let's go down low. Cubix gets taken down by Hen. Hen, Janice, and Chapix are fighting together. They're looking strong. They're usually down to duos, but as a trio, they're still deadly, and they take out Tayson easily.
That's another big pickup. Benji's also active in the feed, but now they're taking damage. Hen, big chunk splashes, keep him alive in the zone. What a pocket play right there.
Chapix
But
goes
Yo
down.
Gamma, it's still
Janice
up top.
goes down.
They're reading down big beams. Just one left. It's Hen.
Hen
Can
goes
he make
down.
the difference? No, so close.
Flick, Anas, and Thomas HC now has an opportunity to keep moving up the board, considering second place is down. Huge opportunity now. It's 11 elims and a top 3 finish, but they want more than that. Matzo gets bopped. Benji Fishy gets bopped. It's a top 2 and a victory royale, and you said the door might be closed. Anas, Thomas HC, and Flick are about to kick the door wide open. Cammy, Seti are holding on as much as possible. This trio has had a bad day all day long, but you know you could shake off an L with a big fat W, but Flick says take this L, Seti, right to the chest. Flick and Austin Thomas HC cannot be stopped, and they pick up Teak. Oh my goodness, this trio from a blaze from up high is now putting so much pressure on Cammy, and Cammy's deep with the heels, but he's getting big time tagged in the back. But wow, what a finish from Thomas HD, Flick, and Anas, baby.
16 eliminations, I think. Man, and they kept the heat up enough to actually bring Seti all the way towards the end game too. Nice to, get those guys off of some ice, but still, that entire end game was basically just the top 5, top 10 teams battling it out.
16 elims on the final stage, and one of the last 2 games of the finals. Talk about clutch, Shayo.
I thought it was going to be concrete. I thought we were basically done and it'd be the same patterns over and over. But finally, these guys get one game. They get an inch. I want to see how long they actually drag this whole thing out now. We have the desk ready. We have Reese, Levin, and Zeke. We need to know exactly what happened that game.
So much has unfolded off of this last game. Sancho, West, and Shywage, they made a statement earlier on in that game. They talked about this being like a book. And right now, we're nearing the final chapter of this book. And we don't know who the author is, because the author are your trio's champion. Right now, gentlemen, this is coming down to the wire. This is like Thomas, Flick, and Anas coming in. They came into this game in a second place, right behind the first place team, trying to pull ahead. And with this game, they very well may have cemented themselves in that #1 spot going into this last game. It's possible, depending on what happens, they may have just closed out the entire competition.
There was so much to break down in that last game. It feels like,
oh my God,
it was like an all-star match almost. Going into the end game, all the big names that we've been talking about through this entire day were still up. They were still relevant in the entire game. And that last 3 players, last 2 teams alive, was almost like basically the top from day one, right? We saw so many teams. You saw Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD, which have moved themselves up to 3rd after that. That is incredibly close as well. Now being 4 points behind Vidil, Norali, and Rezon, but Hen, Janice, and Chapix managed to pick up 28 points in that last game with 7 eliminations, still in the 1st place slot.
We're going into the final game of the FNCS with, what, an 11-point gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Yep.
It doesn't get much better than this. Like, we're about to see one of these teams, have to ultimately win the game to be the champions. Like, this is about to get just all sorts of crazy. My brain's turning to mush. I literally just don't even know. Like, this is just way beyond the realms of possibility for me. Looking at who's here from 6th to 10th, though, right? We still have some of these teams who, they are lagging a bit behind in points. But, if somebody was to replicate what we just saw from Thomas and Flick, right? They just had, like a 62-point game? Like, a 62-point game for Cammy's team right now, that would put them, in sort of 250-point range. It'd put them well in the way of being able to, up their earnings in that sense. So, really, we're looking like, oh, the final game's about to be mad, Reese.
The final game is about to be so intense. Like I said, 11 points between the top three. Everyone has to be focusing on these three teams right now. If you're looking outside of these three teams, yes, there's more prize money for every time you move up those slots. But let's be real, the Axe of Champions is currently presiding. Looks like it's going to Hen, Janus, and Chapix if it was just frozen right here. However, it could go either way. And, these guys have been popping off all day and all day yesterday too. Definitely hotter today than they were yesterday. We saw kind of Seti, Kami, Teak popping off so much yesterday, taking that first place slot, but slowing down a lot today. They're also starting to slow up and speed up in this last